Catch you later.
All right.
All right, thanks for talking with us. So we've got the candidate here for Bristol Reform UK Party.
Bristol Central.
Bristol Central, yeah. So only going to be a few questions. What are your top 3 priorities for our constituency?
Well, the first priority is to enlighten people to the fact that there is no climate crisis. Doesn't exist. Let's say the second one is to be tolerant of other people in our constituency. The third thing, let's say, is that I am trying to represent sanity in the crucible of wokeness in Bristol Central, which is the most sort of woke constituency in the country.
Okay, thanks for that.
Define what woke is.
Can I define what it is? Basically, it's globalism. It's globalist diktat, like what happened with COVID-19. Globalist policies coming through supranational organizations like the World Economic Forum and through the United Nations with their 17 sustainable goals, and they are bypassing our democracies completely, bypassing Westminster. So our political parties, the Greens, the Tories, the Labour, there's not really a cigarette paper that you can hold between them because they all have the same globalist policies. So I'm trying to wake people up to the simple fact you either have national sovereign democracy or you have globalist diktat, which is known as corporatism, which was the original word for fascism as defined by Mussolini, de facto Mussolini, public-private partnerships and stakeholder participation.
Okay. So how are you addressed with issues related to crime and public safety?
Crime and public safety, there's a lot of drugs around in this town, and where are these drugs coming from and why are the police letting it happen? So I was reading on Bristol 24/7 today that there are drug rehabilitation centres and people are selling drugs outside of these rehabilitation centres. Now drugs destroy people and they especially destroy the youth. So I think there's a kind of strange cleansing happening in Bristol, and it's happening around this country, and it's happening to a great deal in the States, and people are getting on extraordinarily addictive drugs which are being handed out like Smarties, and they are creating a generation of kids who have to sleep rough, they're on the streets, suicides, early deaths. That is absolutely out of order. And when I'm saying this, I'm like, you have to ask, where are the drugs coming from? Who's making the money, and why are the police allowing it? Think outside of the box.
Can you respond to what Farage said the other day about Russia? What opinion on that?
Farage, and I was asked this question by John Pienaar, the infamous broadcaster for the Times newspaper radio channel today. Farage is absolutely right about Russia. We have provoked and pushed Russia to react, and that was the intention. So the West got rid of the democratic government there. They had the Maidan massacre in 2014. They've been shelling Russian-speaking Donbass ever since 2014, I'll repeat that. And so of course it's going to provoke a reaction. Russia's drawn a line in the sand, which is obviously what NATO and the EU and our own country would know they would do. And so now there is a challenge. Now, we do not want Russia to come back into the Slavic nations of Europe, Poland, Bulgaria, Romania, the former Yugoslavia, etc. And the Russians are being held in check. But one thing I'd like to say about this is we will not participate in a third world war, a globalist war, which is being hybridized. We will not send our children away to a war. Be careful of this when they start talking about conscription. Let it be known we will not participate in this globalist war, and try to understand global politics. Think outside the box.
Final question from me. What are your views on social justice, and how will you work to promote equality and inclusivity?
Well, social justice is very important. people are excluded. I was at a Bristol Beacon hustings today, and one of the Democratic candidates was excluded from that meeting until we managed to get her in. That was Posey Parker of the Let Women Speak party. She's a feminist, and she should have been allowed in. She had a ticket. So exclusivity is very, very common. And when we're standing in Bristol Central, I'm not sure where you live, but I live in Kingstown, and there's a huge amount of wealth up there. And these are the people that support Extinction Rebellion. They support the Green Party. They have no knowledge whatsoever of how they're going to exclude ordinary working class people by not letting them drive their cars, by locking us down into 15-minute cities. All the Greens think, oh yeah, great, we'll have low traffic neighborhoods, but the first thing to go up are surveillance cameras. So in your neighborhoods, maybe you're in Eastern, you will notice that surveillance cameras are the first thing to go up in a so-called LTN. That has nothing to do with green. It has everything to do with the globalist Agenda 2030. And I suggest to anybody who watches this, look into Agenda 2030, because they've been employing it ever since the COVID scam. To me, COVID was a scam. Don't buy into it. Don't get vaccinated. It's not even really a vaccination. Don't get an mRNA jab. They're going to try to push it down your throat, and they will try to lock us down on the pretense of climate crisis, which does not exist. So social justice, I'll tell you what, freedom is more important than equality. So you will never truly establish equality, but you can have freedom. And freedom is important for all of us to live happily and contentedly with each other.